All right, today we are talking about one of the best looking suitcases I have ever tested. This is the Sterling Pacific cabin travel case. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Desmond. I make videos about travel, tech, and lifestyle gear, and this is definitely one of my favorite topics. This is an aluminum suitcase from Sterling Pacific. First, I just want to say that Sterling Pacific did send over the 35-liter cabin suitcase for review, but I'm not being paid for this review, and these opinions are all my own. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about my experience traveling with this suitcase. We're going to run through build quality, design, and functionality, and we'll talk about some pros and cons of this particular suitcase. So let's start with build quality and design. Honestly, this is the best looking aluminum suitcase I've ever had the opportunity to test. It is absolutely beautiful. So these suitcases are made from a high quality 5052 aluminum with impact bearing ridges. You can see these run along the suitcase itself, and honestly, it adds this really old school industrial aviation style look and feel that you don't really get with other brands out there. And not only do you get this high quality, well-designed aluminum outer shell, you also get this premium full grain Italian handles. I'm a big fan of these Italian leather handles because they are soft, they are supple, they're really easy to grab hold of, because I will say with a suitcase made entirely out of aluminum, this is still relatively heavy. So having these really soft and supple handles make it a pleasure to carry in and out of the car, into the airport, into that overhead compartment in the airplane. And the overall aesthetic that they add to the look is very, very premium. Now that full grain leather does not just extend to the handles, it's also featured on that fully retractable trolley arm, which is also made entirely out of aluminum. And that's a really nice addition because a lot of brands that make full aluminum suitcases tend to skimp on some of the other parts, like the retractable trolley arm. Those can be made out of plastic. Wheels are made out of plastic. But with the Sterling Pacific, everything is made out of high quality aluminum and full grain leather. On top of that, the Sterling Pacific suitcase also has double TSA approved combination locks. I really like the quality of these locks. You get a really crisp snap when you engage with the mechanism. The combination moves very smoothly. This thing is going to last a very long time and keep your stuff secure. And then let's talk about these wheels. Now, this is probably one of the biggest departures that you'll see from your traditional suitcase design. Most suitcases leverage a 4-wheel system. With the Sterling Pacific, they use a high-quality 2-wheel system. And these are no ordinary wheels. They are high quality, large, smooth, and robust. They're going to last an incredibly long time. For me, what I realized as I was rolling through the airport, rolling to my destination, is that there is almost no give or wiggle in the way these wheels are developed. These things roll incredibly smoothly across any type of terrain. Now, there is a con to having a 2-wheel system over a 4-wheel system, and that's just the maneuverability of the suitcase. It also means that you do have to drag the suitcase at an angle behind you versus, say, a 4-wheel system where you could push or pull with all 4 wheels on the ground. But having tested this and comparing this to some of the other 4-wheel systems that I've used in the past, I actually really like the way the 2-wheel system performs, because one of the biggest benefits is that your suitcase stays exactly where you leave it. With the 2-wheel system, when you rest the suitcase down, the 2 rubberized bumpers on the bottom basically lock it in place. When you're hopping on a tram between terminals, when you've got it on a bus, or when you just leave it there on a slanted surface, you don't have to worry about your suitcase rolling away. And that's actually something I really like about this setup. So let's continue to talk about build quality and durability. Like I said, I've had a chance to use this for several weeks now. I've taken this on a cross-country flight. I've taken this on a number of weekend trips where I throw it into the car, walk it into the hotel. So I've had a chance to really use and kind of bang this thing up a bit. With that said, the build quality is incredible. Now, when it comes to aluminum, you're going to get scratches. It's going to, in a way, patina, but that adds to the character of the suitcase itself. But what matters is that everything inside is safe and it's protected, and the integrity of the suitcase itself remains sound. Now, like I was saying earlier, this is made from 5052 aluminum, which is incredibly high quality. It has the impact bearing ridges that you can see here. It also has reinforced corners. That is one of the things that's really important. Again, when a suitcase like this tends to fall off a shelf or tends to get banged up and fall over, it'll land on its corners, it'll land on its face. So these elevated ridges help absorb impact, and those reinforced corners do the same. And one of the things that I will say, when I travel, I don't like to load heavy gear into my backpack or my personal bag. I actually put a lot of camera gear into my carry-on suitcases. So for me, knowing how well built the Sterling Pacific suitcase is, I actually have no problem putting thousands of dollars worth of camera bodies and lenses and equipment into the suitcase when I travel. So a few small design elements that I want to talk about that make a big difference. First, on this side of the suitcase, I want to talk about these 4 pieces of plastic. These actually hold the suitcase up when you place it down on its side, which again, very small design element, but actually makes a big difference in the way that you travel. I can place this down. I know that it keeps the aluminum off the ground. It is level, it is safe, and it won't roll away or go anywhere. And again, it makes it really nice to pick up and walk away with. And again, that goes back to one of the biggest benefits of the Sterling Pacific suitcase is all of the thought that goes into every single design element. I can't tell you how many times at the airport and at the hotel, people would come over to me and compliment this suitcase. How many people came over and said that this thing is badass? And I will say it absolutely is, and I feel pretty badass walking through an airport or rolling into a hotel with this thing by my side. And another thing to call out that adds to the uniqueness of each of the Sterling Pacific suitcases is that every single one has a unique serial number imprinted on the side. So that is very, very cool to me. Okay, so we just spent a ton of time talking about the build quality, the design of the suitcase. It is built like a tank. It is beautifully designed and gets so many compliments. I love rolling into an airport, rolling into a lounge, into a hotel with this thing by my side. But next, let's talk about the inside. This is a 35-liter suitcase. So how much can it actually hold? So when you open this thing up, you are greeted by this beautiful brown cognac-like interior lining. So this is made from a ring spun twill weave. And honestly, it sounds really fancy because it is. It feels great to the touch. And I know that whatever I put in my suitcase is protected inside just as much as it's protected by the outside. So when you open this up, the first thing you're going to notice is this does not open up like a traditional aluminum suitcase. A lot of brands out there leverage that classic clamshell opening where you're going to get even storage space on either side of the suitcase. What I really love about the Sterling Pacific is that majority of that storage space is in the bottom section and the lid opens up like a laptop. So for me, that actually makes packing really pleasant. I can place the suitcase down, crack it open, and I can start to load everything into the bottom half of the suitcase, and anything that spills over the edge, I know there is still space above when I close it. One of the other things you'll notice here is that you get a really nice mesh pocket. So the suitcase actually comes with a great little travel pouch. Inside, you're going to find some really fun accessories. And one of the really nice things that comes with it is a leather conditioner that you can use to keep your handles looking great. So let's talk about the storage on the bottom half of this suitcase. One thing that I'll call out is that this suitcase has the same problem that almost all aluminum suitcases has. The retractable trolley arms do take up space inside the suitcase. Now, like I said, this is a problem that every company has, so something I already know how to work around. Now, when I'm packing a suitcase like this, I tend to take my t-shirts, undershirts, shorts, smaller articles of clothing, I roll those up and I place them all along the sides of those retractable trolley columns. So that's how I tend to deal with that problem and fill in the space. Then I can fit in a suit jacket, some additional trousers or pants, some sweaters. And finally, like I was saying before, I pack my lenses, camera bodies, and then I'll throw on a couple of additional packing cubes with some extra tech gear in there. And finally, you can use the 2 crisscross straps to secure everything together and close the lid. Like I said, what I really like about this setup is I can pack most of my gear into that bottom half, and anything that protrudes over the top, like these packing cubes, I know there's still plenty of space for when I close the suitcase on top. Now, I will say, with all of that gear packed in here and the weight of the suitcase itself, this is a pretty heavy travel situation I've got going on. But with those dual rubberized wheels, it actually feels almost weightless to roll this thing around. So it's just really interesting that that design choice has made this a very pleasant way to roll around a very dense and heavy suitcase. With that said though, it's probably extra heavy because I'm packing camera gear and tech gear in here versus putting that in a separate backpack I would carry on. All right, with all that said, I think this is a great purchase for anyone looking for a high-end aluminum suitcase option. There are other brands out there that have suitcases that come in at around $1,400, but this is the best designed and best built suitcase in that price range that I have ever used. It is not an exaggeration. I mean, I think it's clear how beautifully made this is. Having used this on several trips for a number of different occasions, I am really happy with the performance of this suitcase. One thing to call out for some of you out there, 35 liters may not be enough space, but I will say that this will absolutely fit in any overhead compartment, including international flights. That is something that you can be guaranteed with this bag versus say some of the other brands like Away or Rimowa, where their actual dimensions are slightly larger than what is allowed on some domestic flights and most international flights. So with the Sterling Pacific 35 liter, you are guaranteed to have no problems getting this onto the plane. All right, with that said, if you enjoyed this content, hit that like button, subscribe for more videos just like this. I will catch y'all in the next one.